Adaptive Athlete. It's a program that I formulated from a set of drills, move sets, archetypes during my football playing career that were heavily based on neurological development and function. Because I had the gift of being friends with many scientists throughout my playing career, and the gift of being in a pro athlete role gives you certain feet into different doors than if you're just coming up off the street kind of thing. So it gives you access to different information and different people that you can verify your stuff, have different ideas, talk to people that are going to give you different information than they give the general public and stuff like that. So you have many ways to prove your ideas, experiment, stuff like that. And a lot of my friends happen to be neuroscientists. And I would get, I'm naturally a curious person. I ask a lot of questions, right? So then I would go to these people, tell them my ideas and what I'm finding. Then they would tell me like how the scientific world understands nerves and stuff like that. I would go back, make drills, try movement things, and we would be speaking the same language without being in the exact same sector. So I'm like, this is powerful stuff. This is cutting edge. And a lot of it was what I was finding through my own experimentation, through my own creations, from stuff that I was doing myself with the basis of true science, right? Not paid for science, true science, right? Objective exploration, hypotheses, okay? It's finding that out some powerful stuff. So it seems like a lot of the stuff that I've been saying to you guys in videos, for those who've been around for a while, I talk a lot about nerves, about energy and energy systems. A lot of times I mention things being like little brains, right? Talking about fascia, talking about the nerves being like little brains themselves. And it seems like the science is catching up. So I was taking the risk of going ahead and saying these ideas that I knew would have very little to zero backing besides people that had the physical awareness to say, hey, I feel that, I see that, I know that. It seems like the science is finally catching up. And now there's a verified backing of the stuff to where I don't need verification to back my own feelings. But when sharing information with other people, it helps to have sort of a rubric, a language that you can speak so that there's understanding, so that there's not too much time spent in, a lack of dialect or an inability to have dialogue with someone else speaking a language that they don't speak. So the science helps bridge that gap. Right? Common terms that. So then here's some blips from an article, a recent article, verifying the things that I've been talking about as to why I make the drills the way that I make them, right? Why I do the things that I do, and verifying stuff that before the industry only saw it as one way. Like a circuit, on-off switch nerves. They only do one thing. Boop, boop. And I was saying, I feel like it's different from my own exploration. Well, it seems like they're catching up and finding out that, in fact, things are like little brains. Nerves are basically like a microcosm, right? So the macrocosm is like the brain, right? And what its job is for the body. Then the microcosm, life usually reflects things, right? The microcosm is the individual nerves and the neural synapses and the neurons, and they all serve the same job on a smaller scale that the brain does so that it could do more things. That's why it makes smaller little ones, which are the nerves. Nerves are like mini brains, right? So it's just, proof is in the pudding. It's there now. They're catching up. So this is the magic behind things like the Adaptive Athlete. Like all the other shit that I do. For those who are part of the Mastery School and the Mystery School content, this is the basis of all that shit. And thank you all for taking the risk in going in that before the information was there to verify it. And now it's here and it's coming. And it's going to continue coming because people are starting to catch up. Great. Then I actually have a passion to do this shit again instead of talking to people, in a different language. And I'm like, and people are like, huh? You know what I'm saying? Now it's, for the right ones, because I don't want to reach everyone. For those that have interest, then the work can actually go somewhere. We can find some solutions. We can create some things together, right? because it's about creation. It's not only about healing, it's not only about maintaining, it's about upgrading, leveling up, right? Like technology. How do we advance the human technology? Well, we got to heal it, we got to maintain it, and then we can upgrade the shit out of it. Talking about the nerves. Gathering information. It's like moving the way that I move, and the drills that I give you guys is speaking the language of the nerves. So when doing things in isolation, it's part of the puzzle. Absolutely. It is a piece of the puzzle. But it's not necessarily the best language to speak to the nerves when you're trying to reprogram, repattern, tinker, and alter connections. Because if you see the way that neurons connect, it is not necessarily linear. To where the process is linear in that there's a point A and a point B and a connection is made. That's where how there's linear in everything. But also the process in which that point A to point B happens is not necessarily linear in that it will be different every time. Neurons will create synapses and they will connect. That part does happen and is almost a guarantee. But the way that it happens is different. So then, by speaking the language of the nerves and making new connections, I crafted the drills with this understanding of nerves in mind, in that repeating things, if you alter it, it's the same thing as the nerves. You're still doing a point A to point B. You're still doing whatever that move set is. That is an isolate of trying to break it down to make it easily available. But the way that you get to it, like the neural synapses, you can alter and change, and then it makes the connection stronger, right? So it's about trying to obliterate unnecessary injuries, create immense strength and adaptability so that someone doesn't always have to, because I'm like, there's a fucking infinite potential for move combinations out there and responses and answers for problems, right? No one really has the time to venture into every possible outcome of every equation. So then it helps to create a buffer zone in giving yourself the strength so that when you put yourself in to those situations, you have the motion data and the experience to make a move on the fly, as well as a calculated one, and have the ability to do both, right? Control, chaos, harmony. That's what it's about. Equilibrium. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. That's what the adaptive athlete's about. That's what PlayFit's about. Stuff for the kids having more fun, being loose. That's what the clown one's about. The clown one's fucking fun, man. Like, honestly. Even just saying it is funny because the stuff that's in it, it's like, it's sneaky, right? It's sneaky. It's extremely powerful, but it's sneaky. Some people are kind of like, oh, that ain't shit. But then I'm like, that stuff will save your life. It's like the Drunken Master, Jackie Chan, to where in these little silly things are hidden mastery, right? So just a little bit of insight. Like I said, free talk is the method to the madness as it evolves, and the proof in being that the nerves function in a way that I communicate that they function in that way. And I was doing it before the science was ready to say that. Maybe they were like that because of their own limitations of their own industry. And then they came along to be like, that's a little bit different. So then I was creating things ahead of time, ahead of the language being there, knowing it kinetically, knowing it myself through my own practice and habits, and then having the verification later on. It's easier to share those benefits, and it's easier to share the why and the method behind. Because anyone who shares ideas, they don't share it on a public stage because they want to be misunderstood. Sometimes it's fun and it's part of it. It's playing around. Sometimes it's fun, to be like the odd jack out. You know what I'm saying? Right? The Joker card, the wild man. But they're also sharing it for validity, right? If they're creating an invention, they don't want to share it for no one to use it. They share it because they found power in it. They have a passion for it, and there's solutions, and it could benefit other people's lives as well and invigorate them. So then they share it so that it can be understood. So that's why I'm sharing this video in saying that I share this stuff because I care about the stuff, and I care about the people that come along and want to get helped by, my work and assisted, is that I want my idea to be understood. I want to be able to convey this message to people. So I'm glad that the science is catching up, and then that's making me now more passionate in sharing it, because before, like I said, it was like I was speaking into a megaphone to a group of folks that even when they wanted to understand, there wasn't the stuff there to make it available for them to understand based on how they've been schooled, based on how they learn. So then this is a way for me to meet people on their terms, to be like, all right, now we can start having a conversation. Now we can get somewhere. So hopefully you guys learned something about the method to the magic, right? And the stuff behind specifically the adaptive athlete and the drills and the different stuff that I do, and why it all is the way that it is. And it's not as seemingly random as many people think. Play is a serious business. Blending the isolation, the control with the chaos, right? Blending the biomechanics stuff. Blending sound, motion, function with the ability to create, adapt, react, play. Equilibrium.